Hey, welcome. Welcome to the ACE Show, right? This is where we help professionals succeed both personally and professionally in their personal lives, professional life, you name it. This is where I get a chance to interview experts in their field, or again, what I like to call aces in their field, and leverage their knowledge to support you all in the community. And so I hope you enjoyed this interview because I'm really excited about it. I get to introduce you to a really good friend of mine and someone I've worked with. Her name's Antonella Fant. Everyone say hi. Antonella, hi.
Hey,
How are you?
fine. Thanks, Debbie, for this opportunity. I'm really excited to be part of the ACE presentations.
Yay. I'm so
Yay.
glad that you're here. This is great. There's a quote that made me think of you, Antonella. I was doing a little quote by an artist by the name of, I think he's an artist, Henry Matisse.
Yes,
He
that's right.
says, creativity takes courage. Very simple. And I love that because courage is one of the kind of core values is having courage. And I think any artist, it takes courage to express themselves. And so for those of you who don't know Antonella, she is the founder of Pufli Books. And if you're in Argentina, it's Pufli Books. Yeah, that's right. She lives out in Argentina with her husband and business partner, Mateo. You've been illustrating for over 15 children's books you've illustrated. You're the illustrator to the best children's book in the world, The Adventures of Wembley the Pug. You've got it too, I'm sure, right? The series. Woo, woo.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah. You see, a hidden secret, everyone. That's my book too. It's our book. We work together on that. We work together on this children's book. I can't wait to talk about it. And so, yes, you've created your own business now, and I can't wait to talk to you a little bit more about it. I think this is going to be extremely valuable. So be prepared. Maybe get a fresh perspective. Hear some great stories. And think about maybe what she's going to share in her story and how maybe there's a parallel to you and how what she shares could be supportive to you, and look for ways to improve your life and ace your life, which I like to do. So Antona, welcome. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you so much. We're
Yeah.
really excited, yes,
Yes.
to talk about our journey of creating Wembley the Park and all the process I made as an illustrator. So
Well,
here
let's
we
start
go.
with that. Yeah, let's start
Yeah.
with tell us a little bit about how you got to where you are now, right? You're from Argentina or you from somewhere else? How did you get to Argentina? And then maybe even transition into how did you get started in illustration? Tell us a little bit about how all this got started.
Okay. Well, I was born in Argentina and I currently live here. I study graphic design, but as an illustrator, I learned everything of my own since I was very young. And when I was very little, I started to scratch and draw in tablecloths, walls. My mommy didn't like it too much, but it was a part of the creative process.
Yeah.
And then I started to create my own characters. When I was like 9 years old, I started to write my own books, my own stories, because I really enjoy to evoke my emotions, what I feel in the moment with illustration and the stories. And then I started to get some inspirations with the TV shows I have watched when I was little, for example, cartoons,
Uh-huh.
anime, manga. Then started to um, be inspired by Disney. I am a big fan of Disney and the Disney parks. And then I started to get inspired by others, illustrators on the children's book fields, following on Instagram, for example, because in that time I didn't have access to courses and workshops because we don't have it too much information on the internet. So I'm trying to learn all I know about illustration by myself, practicing drawing every day. Most of the day I was drawing, and I am really patient and I love illustrating because it's escape for me to when I feel sad, when I was listening to music and I need to reflect some emotion into an illustrator, for example.
Yeah.
Well,
No school?
everything.
You didn't go to a school for art? You just kind of
No, no, no. I studied graphic design because it was mostly similar to illustration, but I couldn't illustrate too much on doing graphic design. But I learned a lot about, for example, designing a book, and I
Yep.
started to get interest of creating, designing and illustrating children's books.
Okay. That's great. And you've been doing that ever since. What's the first character that you said? You said you drew your first characters at age 9. Do you remember your first character ever?
Yes, it was a little orange, a fruit. It was called, because in Argentina, orange is naranja,
Yeah, yeah.
and the name was Naranjin.
Not not on hing.
Yes, he was inspired with big eyes, like animes that you see my illustration now. I love to create character with big eyes.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and he was very cute,
Here's the
and
character with the big eyes.
yeah, that's right. um, that's what my first character. He has a best friend who is a banana and a lemon. He has a little bow like Wembley.
Oh, a little bow tie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he started to write some story. I have a notebook where I have 2 or 3 of the story of that characters.
Yeah, and it's just a notebook. It's just fun right there. You haven't actually created a story around that.
Yeah,
I think there's I mean, that's how Wembley came about, as a story about my pug, right? So, but a story about your naranjing. What was the name of the banana? Banana.
bananin. A
Bananing.
lemon, yeah, a lemon was limonin,
The-
because lemon
Oh,
is
that's
lemon.
great. That's great. That's great. I was just, as we were chatting, I was writing my first character that I ever wrote. Did you want to see it?
Yeah,
I call him Beanie Head Guy. Beanie, those little hats that go pew, 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 pew. Those little beanie hats.
that's really nice.
That was the first character I ever wrote.
Oh, I have to. He
Very.
has to appear to one of the Wembley's book for sure.
Yeah, maybe he'll somehow show up.
I'm going to draw Naranjin. Let me see
Well, that'd be great. Would love to see that.
the paper.
I feel like, as you're writing this, I feel like I think it's really interesting to find out like what the process is when you create a character, and how do you create the character, and again, what is that process? And so,
Yeah, when I start with the character, I start thinking about the story, the personality, where he come from, what the character is like, what the character doesn't like, and those features that are part of the character started to see visually in their clothes, or the expression of the face, of the hair, for example. I'm trying to make some option of the same character, but usually I go straight for the first option. I don't know why. That's my process. It's like intuition of, okay, I'm going to this character and that's all. I know that it's better to have multiple options in the case when you work with an author, for example, to give some option of the character to see which one the author feels that is the character.
That's right.
Because I'm trying to get all the features you want for your character in the sketch and give that option to see, I like these eyes, but I like the body of this option. Creating together the character, for me, is the most important part of the process, because it's the main character of the story that tells the story of the book.
I agree. Well, and that's what we did when we worked together. First off is, I sent you an idea of what I wanted. At the time, it was Elvis, right?
Yeah.
But what ended up being Wembley, the pug, versus Elvis. But I sent you images of the pug. I sent kind of the energy of what my dog Elvis looked like and what I was really looking for. For me, you can keep writing, but for me, that was the most important character in the entire story. If Elvis wasn't, or Wembley wasn't right, it wouldn't be right. And I felt like you captured it really well. I know we're maybe jumping ahead, but I think this is to the process and to the characters. I gave you kind of an idea, some images, and then you went and ran with it. You gave me like 5, 6 different options, and I remember that. I remember going, I like the eyes of this one. I like the backpack. I like the smile here and the mouth. I gave you all the details of what I liked, and then you put it together in another version, and you gave me 2 more versions to choose from, and I chose the other one, and then, we were off and running. And so once we had picked what Wembley / Elvis looked like, then we were off and running. The rest of the characters, I think I had a lot less intense feeling about how they
Yeah.
looked, with the exception of they needed to look like the parents that, then besides that. But man, you really nailed. I mean, this dog is adorable.
Yes, I
You
know
really
that
nailed it.
Wembley is very important to you, so
Yeah,
I
that's
want to
right.
keep it in the illustration. Here's
Sh-
19.
Oh, oh, there
It,
we go. Oh,
yeah, it was very simple.
that was your first one though.
Yes.
So how do you take something that's quote unquote simple like that, sometimes the simplest ones, and then how, would you, I don't want to say flesh it out, but how would you then go, all right, I need it moving, I need it to have a little bit more, or like if you wanted to kind of do a little bit more 3D with, I don't know if that's the right word, the different dimensions, like the mouth and the way it moves and the full back, the full shape. How would you do that? What do you do next? And because that's what you did with Wembley, obviously.
Yes, we have to try to keep the character simple because you have to remember that character. For example, in animation industry, you have concepts to study about the anatomy and expression of the character and how do you create the expression. For example, when he's happy, how is his eyes, for example, they're bigger than usual when they're excited or sad. The body started to transform depending on what the character feels in the moment. So it's called like line of expressions because if you have something like a pencil, for example, this is very static and it's boring, but when you have start something like a curve or a something more dynamic and pose like this. That's why the character has to not to be standing just like taking a photo. It's important that it's telling a story or a context when you look the characters. Oh, he's happy, the tail is moving, or he's going to jump, something. That's the
Yeah.
important part of the illustration when you tell the story with the character.
And especially if there's kids involved, right? We need those
Yeah.
expressions really tell them the story. Maybe they don't understand the words as much,
Yeah.
but their expressions really need to show I'm nervous or I'm happy, right? And so as they share the story, they're hearing the story. This is, when you think about when you're writing, and that's why I love working with you so much, is that you're able to capture kind of the emotions of the journey that the characters go through in just little snippets, because we can't tell the whole story with animation. We can't kind of walk through the whole thing. You've got a little picture of what that moment is, and we need to really capture what's the most important part of the story that we want to show an illustration for.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes we have to create an illustration that is not necessary to represent what the text is saying. For example, Wembley is sad, but you are illustrating Wembley under the bed,
That's right.
and you
Yep.
say, oh, he's sad, and when he's feeling bad, he started to get high behind the bed, for
Like this you're
example.
talking about, right?
Yeah, yeah,
This moment.
yeah, at that moment.
Yeah, fortunately, I think if a story is written well enough, it makes it easier for the illustrator to draw that piece, right? And
Yeah,
so I think we work well together. So yes, you mentioned animation. This is
yes.
interesting. Animation is different, right? It's a different industry than illustration. And you said you've done, how much, like, have you done a lot of animation or?
Yes, work as a graphic designer also, I create animation with a team of animators. I work with different field of animations. For example, for marketing and in illustration, I create characters ready to be animated for video lessons to learning companies. For example, for grammar, we create a character who was an alien that comes to her and the girl know it and started to understand the word with grammar, for example. And I create those characters and starting to make some storyboards where the animators get to life the characters with the script of the teacher.
Okay.
Also, I work with the concept artists creating characters and backgrounds for TV shows, doing just the concept, no, not create the character really to be animated. It's a different industry than children's book, but because usually in animation you have to adapt to the style the industry is looking for. But in children's books industry, the author's looking for your style.
Right.
And also in animation, you have to work a lot every day. It's just producing, I feel that it's more relaxing creating children's book, and you can manage your times. It's less stressful.
Yeah, it can be. I mean, I imagine in animation, if you could
Sorry.
be really busy. You could be busy, and you could be
Yeah,
making a really good living doing that. It
yeah,
sounds like to me like you prefer kind of the children's book illustration style. That's kind of where you really enjoy because they're definitely different. But is that right? Would you kind of say if you had to choose, you prefer children's
yes.
books mostly?
Yes, yes. If I have to work in animation industry, I prefer just to create the concept art, but I prefer mostly the dreams book industry. Yeah,
Yeah,
for
yeah, it's
sure.
fun. And well, I'm glad you do because I get to work with you for sure.
But we in the future we can animate and create our TV show of Wembley. Who knows?
I agree, I agree. Well, I mean, I think the tools that you use now to illustrate were definitely different back in the day. I don't actually do all your ideas first start on a piece of paper, or
No.
do you now go on your digital
Yeah,
your
just with my iPad.
and the iPad is essentially it's just like your white paper. It's like your white piece of paper.
Yes, that's right. For example, here is a sketch of an illustration I'm working on.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
But yeah, something funny is when I want to paint or illustrate in paper with pencil and markers, I start drawing. And when I have to create it, I'm starting doing the zoom in the
Oh,
paper.
you actually put your hand on the
Yeah. And I
because you're
say,
so used to the
like,
I
yeah,
can't That's funny. I can't zoom in
yeah,
on a piece of paper. That's great. Well, you could do this if you do
yeah,
this,
yes,
but you'd have to move your face closer. That's the only problem, or move the paper closer to you. That's your version of
yes.
Zoom.
But the biggest problem is try to erase the illustration or something.
If you make a mistake, you can't
Yeah, you
on
don't
the
have control C.
uh-huh. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, it's new. It's not new anymore. I mean, artists have been using the iPad to
Yes,
illustrate for
because
years now.
now the program has an advanced technology of creating analogic resources like watercolor, wash,
Mhm.
pencil that you started to draw in the on the iPad and say, wow, this looks real. But sometimes I enjoy to paint and illustrate in paper.
Yeah.
It's another feeling for sure.
Yeah, I bet. I bet. Yeah, I bet it's definitely different.
Mhm.
So for someone who's looking to become an illustrator, is there any advice that you would give them if they, I want to become an illustrator, I want to do it? I mean, I tried. I tried to take some lessons, but I'd be interested to hear from you for anybody who's like, I'd like to try being an illustrator or at least just getting in the world of the illustrating or art. What comes to mind?
In my experience is to practice every day. Sometimes you get frustrated because something is not. For example, I'm trying to illustrate a horse and I can't. It's something very hard for me to draw sneakers and horse. I don't know why, but it's not the reason to leave and say, no, I don't want to draw anymore. This is not for me. It's very difficult. I have to sometimes to illustrate horses, sneakers, and well, it's just to get practice, get frustrated. You Illustrator are not perfect. Draw what you like, what you express in the moment. Get inspired with other authors and illustrators. Don't think about he illustrate better than me. No, we are different. We're working with different styles. Another illustrator illustrate the eyes in his way and I do in my way because I feel that represents me. And it's not a competition. You have to feel that you are what you are illustrating. Something the people say to me that I'm very happy and grateful for that is, oh, look, that illustration is like Anto. And I feels like the illustration belongs to me, but you see the style. Loves everything that is cute, fluffy, and the
Yes.
people. Well, I am very fan of bunnies, so the people related to me with that kind of cute things, sweet, and
That's right.
I evoke all that kind of stuff in my illustration. If you see very vibrant colored,
Yeah.
sweet characters, it's just me.
Well, yeah, and well, that's one of the things that drew me to you. And I mean, with Wembley, right? This is how we met. As I did a whole series of research about all the different illustrators that I liked. I mean, I created, and when I knew I wanted to be an illustrator, I knew I want to do a story, not illustrator. I'll be an author. I started looking at books and writing down the illustrator's name. And so when I finally got Wembley the Pug, the first book, to the point where I got the story and I was like, okay, I think I'm going to do this. And I was at the point where I was going to start looking for illustrators. I had reached out to a whole bunch of the illustrators that I liked. I met someone in Australia who I loved his work. It was so good. And it was a lot more detailed and more real to life than more cartoonish,
Yeah.
but this is great. But there were all these different styles that I liked. And so I reached out to them through agents or individually, and 40 or so people that I reached out to. You and one other were the only people who, of the ones that I kind of like, that um, had this, I guess, price point within my budget, as well as kind of the energy I was looking for, as well as timeline. And so that's kind of how we met. I saw your illustrations and I liked it. It evoked it evoked joy. It evoked adorable. Like, there's things about it that I was like, I believe this person could really represent Elvis well. And so when you accepted, it was a no-brainer. It was so good when we finally worked together, because I knew that you were gonna give Elvis at the time, which ended up being Wembley, the life I was looking for in it, and the joy that he had in his life that I saw and I wanted others to see. So you're right. I was attracted to or drawn to your style.
I was attracted with your story when I received the email about your project, and it's about a pug, and I say, a pug is so cute, small. I feel a connection with the project.
Oh,
So
that's great. I was gonna
yeah.
just say, I was gonna ask, why is our series your favorite series to work with?
Well, this was the first time working with an independent author,
I
because
was
I
the first
used
independent author.
yes.
Cool. I actually didn't know that.
Yes, I started working with publishers that you usually work with a team, another graphic designer who send you the book layout of the book with the direction of the creative director, and I have just to illustrate and just a small back and forth between the design team. Usually when independent authors came to me, it's like, hey, I want to illustrate my book, I start? So I get involved not only in illustration, I also design the layout of the book. I work also like a kind of creative director, trying to know you about the process of creating a book. Our project, it was very interesting because we have a lot of checkpoints with video calls and back and forth. Really nice collaboration between all the different parts of creating the book, starting with the characters, then with the design, and we are going to have the text and your idea of the illustration you wanted in that page, for example. And then I started to sketching, I show you the illustration, you give me your ideas and feedback, and we change and adapt the illustration and what you're looking for. I give my recommendations about the different page or spreads depending of the text. It was a really nice collaboration, and I really feel happy that when you have the finished book, you were so happy too.
Oh my gosh. I was so fired up. It was such a special time when we got it. And I'm so glad that you were able to finally get some copies too. Took a little while for you to get the books, but I'm so glad that you have them with you also. Yeah, so it was really interesting, right? For those who are interested in the kind of the process of publishing a book, it starts with an idea. That idea then becomes a series of words and a creative story. Then that story gets edited by someone who really knows how to edit children's books, right? Who can give you feedback on not only the grammar, but the story arc. Does it make sense? And is it right there, right? And once all that stuff has been created and you finally have the story after many versions, that's when an illustrator typically comes in the process. And that's where you came into the process, right?
Yeah.
And we reached out to you. And yes, I think maybe because I was your first independent author, we created an approach, because you were my first illustrator that I ever worked with. And so we
Yes.
kind of worked it together. I really wanted it to be collaborative. I wanted this whole thing to be a collaborative experience. I trusted your expertise in the illustration and the art side and that creating the world. And I just drew on my theater background and kind of my experience in creating drama and kind of the tension and creating the story. And I think we were a really good team, and we are a good team, and I think we work well together. But maybe because I was your first, there was no other way. I know that from what I've heard, it's not uncommon that illustrators don't necessarily like to have someone like myself, the author, share a whole bunch of ideas of what each scene should, maybe ideas of what they think the scene should look like. But I
Yeah.
think in the way we worked, I said, here's my vision for what each page could look like. And I think that was a good starting point for you. I thought maybe also because of, English is not your first language, I thought if I could explain a little bit more. But how is that working for you? I mean, I know it worked because you're still working together with each other. We're still working together. Having me kind of give you a really detailed explanation of what I think each scene should look like, was that helpful, or did you think it stifled your creativity, or did it help your creativity?
No, I think it was very helpful because I started to understand the author, how is their vision for the story, because it's your story.
Yeah.
And we can create a combination of my idea and your idea and get a middle point to say that's the scene we want to represent of the story. So I think it's very helpful. Sometimes some authors don't have too much idea of what they're looking for just in one specific scene. So I can recommend something about that specific part of the story. But usually they gave me some description on each page what they're looking for. So for
Yeah.
me, it's very helpful. And I don't want to create a limitation of the author to say I have to. I am the illustrator just to illustrate the story, and that's all. For me, I like to create this relationship of collaborate for all the scene of the story. So
Yeah. Well, and you did good. You really did a good job. I
mm,
thought that was a very good collaboration for us. And so, yeah, I have my vision. You're right. I mean, I've written the story, and as I'm writing the story, I'm getting a picture of what I think the scene should look
yeah,
like. And especially for independent authors, sometimes the reason they're independent, one is, because a bigger company might not, publishing company, it's just hard to get in. And second, the fear is that a bigger company would steal their vision away to create what they do. And so one of the reasons why I like being independent in this, especially with Wembley, is I have a really clear idea of what I like. And I think we work together. And if you find an illustrator that really is a collaborator, me, that's really what I love. That's why we had a lot of video calls, and because I wanted to see your face and I wanted to see
yeah,
what you're doing and I wanted to talk to you about it and give you a vision, because Wembley was not just one book. Once it got started, I knew, gosh, I want to do more. And the person I want to work with, I don't want it to be me do, you do,
yeah.
separate
You're
islands. I
right.
want to do we do. And this is why I think it's been so fun over the last, year or so, where we talk and I kind of give you my vision and you're like, I'm in, let's do it. I just like teaming up with you for sure. It's definitely a collaborative experience. And then, for some, you also have the ability to, because of your experience, not only just do the illustrations, but you've got this way of being able to design it too, help kind of
Yeah.
design where does it make sense for the text to be, because you don't want the text to be over a bunch of dark coloring, anything like that. And so if I was left to kind of design the book myself, I mean, somehow I probably would have figured it out, but you do that stuff so well. Is that what you like to do? You like to also be kind of a designer? The book designer basically takes the image, the illustrations, and the words, puts them to the page, right?
Yes.
It's a separate piece of the process, right? Correct?
Yes. That's correct. Some illustrators don't design, and some designers don't illustrate. I do both because, well, I studied graphic design. And something important I learned in my career is that you have to create a dynamic composition between the text and the illustration. When the story of the character is yelling, you have to add a big font of the word the
Yep.
character is saying aloud. That's the parts and specification of the design helps to focus on the story and the illustration um, on that scene specifically. So I really enjoy creating the design and illustration together because I can play
Yep.
with both. And that's why I offer illustration and design. If the
Yep.
author already have a designer, I prefer to get in touch with the designer and collaborate together to create these dynamic layouts with the text and the illustration.
Yeah, that's what we've did. That's what we did with
Yeah.
especially the first book. We were working between you, me, and my designer to make sure it was all right. Because then there were some fonts or some images that she needed to have you create to help. I mean, it's just better. I think it's better if the illustrator and are the same
Yes,
in my mind.
I have an example here of a book I have done month ago, where you have here the scene of the characters
Oh yeah,
and the
going down the
text.
stairs
Yes, and the text is
up the
like
tower.
yes.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, that's great.
That's why this is another example of dragon
Uh-huh. Now
as
who
the
goes there? Oh, that's great. Oh yeah,
and
big,
it's
big, big.
different the size of the font, and you will see the intention
Yes. Yeah, yeah. No, I get
of
it.
the text. That's
That
why
helps.
yeah.
I didn't even think about that part of it too. I mean, just right. I mean, there's certain scenes in our stories where I don't actually know if the font all ever gets bigger or not. I think it does. You know, where Wembley is stressing and it's like the exclamation points and you know,
Yeah.
yeah. I think
See.
I didn't think about that, but that really helps paint the picture for someone with the words and the images and the story all together. It's book design is a really important piece. I mean, book
Yes.
design also is the credits and the about the author and it's the cover page. Oftentimes it's the back page, it's the insert page. I mean, there's so many pieces to it that I learned in the process, and it was really helpful to have someone like you who knew all that stuff ahead of time to make it
Yeah,
so much easier.
I have to say that I learned a lot of creating a book for printing on demand platforms like Amazon or Ingram Spark, that they have the technical specification about the amount of page if you are going to make hardcover or paperback. And you have to download the template because they have the specification of the bleed, for example.
Hmm.
And I learned a lot of that because it's something related to design. So now in this war about independent authors that they're using this platform was very helpful to use and to learn about it.
Yes. Yeah, that's good. Well, I mean, we could probably talk a while, and I know that we've had conversations, long ones, because I have a tendency to talk a lot.
Yeah.
But I think you've pivoted a little bit in your career now. You and your husband, Matteo, are recently married. Congratulations. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Yes. You are now in team with Matteo. You've created Pufli Books,
Yes.
right? You're the
That's right.
creative director. Would you just mind? Because I think this is really, really great, where, you could be a great resource for people or other artists. Tell us a little bit about Pufli Books, maybe how it came about and what is it? What is Pufli Books? What does it do?
Yeah, Pufli Books is an illustration agency focused on independent authors to create their books. The origin of the name was because here in Argentina we have a sweet snack that is round and colorful that is called Puflito, and it was fun because the second reason that we choose that name is I told Mateo that I want to create an agency because I had worked with a lot of independent authors and I really enjoyed the experience working with them. I see that other illustration agencies that usually are bigger than other agencies that are more boutique agencies prioritize more publishers than independent authors.
Okay.
I know that the independent author also get lost on the process of the creative process of creating the book. So I create a document about the onboarding and how to start creating your book, start dealing with having the script, the story, and how are the next steps.
So you kind of walk them through the whole process. So if I'm an author, if I'm I'm an author and I want an illustrator. You can help us from start to finish, essentially,
Yes,
roughly.
yes.
Yeah.
And I receive very positive feedback from authors I will work on about how I get involved with all the process, and then getting a future relationship. If you need help to create another book, if you want to visit an event and I need promotion, assets to create for social media, I can help you. If you need a video or something like that, I I like to keep the connection, the communication with with the author in the future.
Yeah.
Also, a month ago, I was in Brooklyn, New York, and I visited one of my authors in Brooklyn. And it was really nice experience because we met for the first time, face to face. We talked a lot. I gave him an illustration for his kids who were the protagonist of the books,
Uh
the
huh.
main character of the books. And he was very grateful. He signed off one of the books for me. We take a photo, we create a video.
Oh, I'm
So
jealous. I'm jealous. We
I'm
need to
going,
figure.
yeah, I'm going to visit you.
Yeah, come on out to see that. Well, I mean, it's a
Yeah,
two-way street. I could come out to Argentina at some point too,
yeah,
for sure. I was there. I went to. I wait. No, hold on. Iguazu Falls, right? That's in
yeah,
Argentina, right? Yeah, I
yeah. We
was
have
there.
one part in Argentina and the other in Brazil.
Yeah, this
Yeah,
is a Pufli, right?
yeah, that's right.
That's right. Oops, hold on. There we go. Yeah,
Um,
that's for you to see that. That's the
yes,
little can. Colorful, sweet, just like Antonella and Matteo.
yeah.
Colorful and sweet.
Color.
That's cool. And so, uh, I think we got this idea of who do you work with. I mean, your ideal prospects or customers that you team up with, you want to connect with as many illustrators that really are excited about working with independent authors. Is that right?
Yes, we are trying to looking for artists here in Argentina, local artists, because we have very talented artists here, but it's hard to get projects from other countries, mainly because the English is a barrier from some of
Yeah.
the artists. So we're trying to help them to create the connection between the author.
Uh huh.
That's why I'm trying to help in the local artists here. And then when we are focusing on independent authors, for all the reason I've told you about helping through all the process, we really get connected with the same values of the authors, that getting the books is a dream come true, is a present for the family, getting inspired of one of the pets of the author, and having that story that they are more emotional. Our mission is to get that real for the author.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And that comes clear in your work and our work, and we stay in touch and the connection that we have, you and Matteo now and myself. I'm just glad that I'm at least a small part of what you all do. And Wembley is now part of your world. It's part, and Wembley's
Yeah,
in your heart, right? And you're
yeah, that's
right.
right.
We need to figure out, this is your point. You brought this up on a couple occasions. I think this next story we work on, we need to figure out how do we get a bunny in it, right? Because I know
Yes,
that you love bunnies.
yes. Let me check if Mochi. No,
Oh, Mochi. So there's Mochi right there.
emoji.
Oh, hey, Mochi.
Eating as always.
Yeah, bunnies eat a lot, huh?
Yeah,
Maybe Mochi the bunny could be a chef or something at the school or something, or in the cafeteria, eating some food in the cafeteria or something.
love that. Love that idea.
We could figure that out. This is where
Yeah.
also I think when, I would not have at all been offended if you figured out a way to weave in a little bunny in a story or in the background or something like that. Like, I think sometimes illustrators take some their creative energy can be helpful. This is like we have one of the characters is Hedgie the Hedgehog,
Yeah.
that I want Hedgie the Hedgehog to somehow be in, if it's at all possible, in most, if not all, the stories, because I just love that. Because Elvis, my pug, had a little hedgehog that looks just like Hedgie in the story. And so he always carried it with him, just in his mouth, never chewed it, and just carry Hedgie with him and go to bed sometimes. And so I love that you're able to kind of weave him in throughout the story. Same thing with the bunny. This next one, or even the one after that, if it doesn't really fit right, but we'll figure out a way to get a bunny in there.
Yes, the bunny going to be the Easter egg of the story.
That's right. That's great. I love in the story time, you've got Hedgie the Hedgehog in the story time, the adventures of Hedgie the Hedgehog, and and it's got to be. I feel like it's the first book. I can't remember now. I can't remember. Why can't I remember which story it is? But you have telling a story, and in the back it's Hedgie. So that's the kind of Easter eggs I like. That kind of stuff. It's perfect.
Yeah.
And so I feel like you might have answered it, but let's just maybe get a little bit clarity. What makes Pufli Books, right? Pufli Books? I know Pufli makes it, for some of my stuff, it's easier to say because it looks like Puffly
Yeah.
as in English. But what makes Pufli Books different than other agencies that might provide a similar service? You may have talked about it, but I think maybe elaborate a little bit more. What sets you apart?
Yeah, it's mostly because the first reason is that we are focusing on the independent authors and publishers and trying to help them to make the books real. Sometimes other agency or maybe most of the author were looking for an illustrator, freelance illustrators, looking for, on Instagram or on freelance platform like Fiverr, Upwork.
Yeah.
And I see that it's like I buy the service, you give me the product, and that's all. And I don't like that kind of relationship of creating just the product, the service, and that's all. I enjoy to follow the process, help the author, whatever the author needs. Yeah, this personal relationship and collaboration that we have together in the first project is one to, sorry, I don't know his sentence, the word,
I think you're saying it right.
transmit it. No, I don't know the word in English.
Well, it's one of the things of boutique agencies can be than some of the bigger ones. You can actually have more personal touch. I
Yeah.
think there's an opportunity. You establish more relationships. And so you build a relationship with your client. And that's a great way to keep people with you and sticking with you. If I've got a second book, why would I not want to work with you again? Right. I mean, I think after the first book, I said, Antonella, we are never leaving each other. We are going to work together forever, as long as Wembley's alive, because I think you did such a good job of kind of, you're building that relationship. And so that's why I think Puffly Books will be a success because, that's what I think sets you apart, makes you special is that you really care about the people that you're teaming up with, right? You're going to care about these illustrators and helping them get work, and you're going to care about the
Yeah.
authors that they work with, and you care about the process, and you're invested in their journey. And, this is like I opened with, it takes courage, right? Creativity takes courage. And so for any author, it's very, this is my baby, right? This is my thing.
Yeah.
And I really feel that someone who's like yourself, you really understood that. You understood how important this is and how, for some, it might just be the only book they ever write and they have it forever. Others like myself, I want to do a lot more, but I want to make sure I do it with someone who has my vision, who is excited about the success of it as much as I am. And so I really feel like that might even be kind of one of your winning edges as a company. What sets you apart is the relationship you're able to create.
Yeah, I'm trying to get, for me, the best feedback for an author is not something like, oh, this is pretty, I like it. I prefer something like, it's made me happy. Some author tell me about the illustration that it generates a feeling in the author. And for me, it's like, this is the way.
Yeah.
Because now we have the AI that some authors using AI. You see the illustration and it has no emotions. And I think that the human part is what we need and that we want to represent in the agency. That the human part of create that feelings and emotion of getting your book and this is as you said, this is my baby, it's made me happy.
Yeah.
And the child is really enjoying the story, the illustration, and that's for me the best goal.
Yeah.
I will
Well, and
have
it's
with
great. And you do a great job with it. I mean, I have
Mhm.
countless people who send me pictures with Wembley, either the stuffy or the little book, and
Yeah.
they're sitting at story time, or one kid's reading to another. I mean, it's so amazing to see that, and I want to experience that more and more and more, and I want to help as many kids as possible, and I want you to team up with me to do that, you and Mateo. And so with that in mind, so besides the projects that we're going to work on together, right, in 2026, hopefully, what is your next project that you've got down the road? Is there anything that you've got that you're working on through Pufli Books
Yes.
or?
Besides Pufli Books, I want to create my own children's book. It's also inspired with my little bunny who passed away 3 months
Yeah.
ago. It's like the same story as you and Wembley.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to get some ideas of, well, the story, because already have the characters, the illustrations, ideas, and the style, but I think the tough part for me is getting the text, the story.
Yeah. Well, let me know if
So
I can help you. Obviously, let me know if I can help if you've got an idea and you want to just bounce it off. I have my background in theater. That's all I've done, theater and acting and sales. And I'd be happy to help if you have a story you want
yeah,
to
it would
share
be
with
really
me.
nice. Yes.
Maybe I can help you create your vision. You've spent the last 3 years helping me create my vision, which is now our vision, I think. So wonderful. Well, I hope
Yeah.
that happens. I think the next thing is we'll put it in the calendar. When do you want to have it written by? Do you want to publish it this year? Sometimes just giving yourself a date, like I want to do it, right? And this is when we
Yeah.
chatted a couple weeks ago or a week ago. Like, here's some timeline things that I'm thinking about. I wanted to get it out so you have a sense. And so anybody has an idea of what's coming, put it in the calendar. Like this is when I want it to be. And then your brain will start working. How do I make that happen?
Yeah, that's
You
right.
have a book already, so you know how to do that. You've already published your own one, right? So this is yours, right?
Yes, this was like 4 years ago when I published that book.
So it had to be just when we just met or something. So I'm looking at
Yeah, just an art book.
look at that little cute little thing there.
Yeah.
Oh, sweet. Art book. Yeah, so it's great.
Yes.
Well, how can people reach out to you? Let's just say I'm an illustrator and I live in Argentina, or maybe I'm an illustrator and I just want to maybe get some advice. How would people reach out to you?
Well, I usually use more Instagram. My profile is Antofan, and I have a website which is antonellafan.com,
That's
and
right.
for the agency is puflibooks.com, and you have also the Instagram that is Pufli
Okay.
Books.
Oh, I'm making sure I put this down so I can put it in the YouTube thing, right? And so there's the
Okay.
personal website that I want to make sure we do. There's your website, the LinkedIn. I put LinkedIn, but then there's Instagram. That's what you said
Yeah.
is typically a great way to connect with you. Awesome. Okay. You can also get her
That's it.
book if you guys want to go on Amazon. It's selling Arto Fant, The Art of Antonella Fant. You get a sense of how she works and her style and the joy that she puts in kind of to the images that she creates. It's just so great. Colorful, beautiful. Talks about her process a little bit too. But Antonella, this was really good. Is there any last thoughts you have that you'd like to share? Any quotes that come to mind? Any advice you would give to someone who's starting out or who might want to be? Any words of wisdom that you have you'd like to share?
For me, the best advice now is never stop creating. I'm a kind of girl that every day I started to do illustration and then creating some craft because I really enjoy craft. I can't stay just doing nothing. I have to do something every day. That curiosity of seeing video of a person making, I don't know, crafting a wallet. And so that is very inspired me to create things, and that's for me motivates every day to create in the agency, starting to think about my book. It's just have these motivations every day.
Yeah.
For
Love it.
me,
Never
it
stop
is,
creating.
yeah, yes, never
I
stop
love that.
creating.
I love that. That's great. Well, I'm so glad that we finally got to chat and have a chat. You did great. You were fantastic. I can't wait for this to reach people and hopefully help others. And so, for those of you listening, I hope this was useful. I hope you got maybe some ideas. You learned a little bit about Antonella. You learned a little bit more about how we work together. And I hope that may you all ace your life. We'll see you next time.